Hey there, Sam Visnick here, Release Muscle Therapy, and in today's video we're going to talk about another great massage tool to reduce the amount of work on your hands and to be able to enhance your work. Now, as a neuromuscular therapist, St. John method, I was taught early on to use my hands, obviously thumb pressure for trigger points and sensitive areas and so forth. We were also introduced to these types of tools here, which are different types of T-bars or pressure bars to, of course, reduce the work on the hands. And for a long time, I used these tools and I found them to be very helpful. But over time, there were some limitations to them, and there were certain applications that I would like to use that the tool didn't quite work well for. So especially in the recent few years, I'm 20 years into my career, been looking for new tools and see what's available out there to help solve some of these problems, provide more comfort, and to be able to continue allowing me to do the work that I need to do. So I've posted about a few other tools to help fellow therapists out, but I want to talk about another one today. This tool, those of you who've been searching around, I tend to be a frequenter to Amazon and so forth to look for any new tools that are available. And this one struck my eye, and outside of a few of the others that I had ordered, I decided to give this one a shot. Very good reviews, but I'll tell you what, I absolutely love this tool. It's made by a company called, I believe, Orkive is the name to, the way to pronounce it. And there are a few distinct features of this tool that I really like. Now, one of the issues is when you're dealing with pressure bars is the type of surface that you're going to be using, and there are a couple of things that are important about this. Number one is the size or the dimensions of the application tip. Now, some of the older pressure bars have a rubber tip that is wider and it's kind of a flat surface. It's about 3/4 of an inch in terms of width. This one is a smaller pressure bar, which I tend to like very well, which is more of a hard plastic, but it's a small ball. And when you're using this, it's very easy to be accurate with it and get the pressure contact that you want. The broad-based T-bar is a little harder. The problem that I have with that is that it has a large contact surface, not really good for digging into certain areas. So I do like the ball component of it, but the challenge with a lot of these things, as you can see here, is the width of the tool. My hand, I'm 6'3". The challenge with this is that when I overlay my hand on top of this, my fingers have to scrunch like this in order to apply the tool, which is still quite uncomfortable because the pressure a lot of times is on my fingers and not into the meat of the palm, which is where I want to be able to put most of the force into in order to stop my hands from working so much. So to some degree, it kind of defeats the purpose. So I did have a couple of custom tools made. The T-bars were a bit longer, but again, there was much left to be desired. So this solves a few of those issues. Number one, what I do like is that it has a gripping surface in here, which is far more comfortable. The other thing is how the width of the tool. Now again, for me, this is perfect. For some people with smaller hands may not like this, but it still might be okay because of where you're going to grab on to the neck of the tool in order to do the work. So again, part of the magic here is to be able to compress or push down through this section of the palm so that you're not overworking your fingers. It's got a good surface contact here. It's fairly wide. It's a little bit bigger than this one, but not by much, which is about perfect. It has this surface down here at the bottom. Not really sure why we have this because it's not like my hand is going to slip down. Perhaps some people might want to use the tool like this. I'm not sure why. Maybe the bottom of the foot might be okay. But outside of that, we have a great thing to hold on to for good application. Now, one thing I want to mention, there are some additional tools out there that look similar to this, and they have more of a chrome type finish to them, and which is common with gua sha based tools or IASTM Graston type tools. The problem with those tools that I do not like is that they are very hard to hold on to. If you have any lotion or I use, for example, Albolene a lot of times when I'm doing my work, the hand just slips right off of it. There's no traction or tread to it, which makes it uncomfortable to use. That and the tool is very skinny, so it's very difficult and there's a lot of pressure in a small area on your hand, just a very uncomfortable experience. This is wide and it's very easy to grip. Even when you have massage lotion or any kind of lubricant on your hands that you're using, this is a really good tool to hold on to during those times. Now, of course, where we would apply things is very similar to any other tool that you have in terms of T-bars, but in particular where this has the most beneficial effects is going to be areas, for example, into the hips. Those of us who are therapists who do a lot of very specific neuromuscular and myofascial release that we are trying to push down deeper into those tissues are all going to have that experience of the hands just getting worked the most into this area, especially when you're trying to be precise. Now, disclaimer, I almost always start with using my thumbs in an area where I have not worked with that person, so I can sense things and I can feel where everything is at, and then I will trade and use a tool. So I'm still using my thumbs, but I will go back and be able to do a little bit more solid work, do prolonged holds on certain areas without excessive fatigue, right? So the hip area in particular is my favorite area to use this tool, especially when I need to get at the attachment points of the deep hip rotators. Not really a good tool to use on the hamstrings. It's going to flip around too much, so I don't use it there. The lumbar spine is a decent area to use this in, but the point of this is not to add more pressure down. It's to be able to sustain pressure into areas, in particular down at the lower portion for example, L5-S1 area where there's a lot more density and ligamentous tissue, so that I can hold a pressure there that's comfortable for the client, and I can hold this for a period of time without exhausting my hands. Okay, so this is a perfect area to apply that. Sometimes there's some application to be able to work into the lumbar extensors, but the problem there is you don't want to be flipping back and forth, so that might actually be a better area to have a flat-tipped T-bar like we just talked about previously. So that's another favorite area to work, and in particular the plantar surface, the bottom of the foot. Again, that's a lot of aggressive thumb work to be done, but using this type of tool, fantastic for that and takes the load off. And in particular, the contact point is wide enough that it doesn't feel awkward and too sensitive like contact points that are too skinny or too thin. Okay? So those are the areas in particular. In my opinion, if there was one area that this is worth its price point on, it's in the hips. So if you do nothing else but buy this tool just for the hip area, it's 100% worth it in my opinion. Okay? So that is this tool. Again, it's made by Orkive, I believe is the name, the way to pronounce it. Again, I have no affiliation to this company, just reviewing a tool that I purchased that I really think is beneficial to soft tissue therapists. As usual, what I'll do is I'll place a link down below this video so you can grab this tool if you want it, but I think it's a great purchase. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll be reviewing future products here, some of these things that I find very helpful, and recommending them as well. So I hope to see you on future videos. Thanks for watching.